So we have the great pleasure of launching this book with you guys today. We're not allowed to touch the same object, so it didn't make sense to bring a lot of books over. And I will show some slides from here, but I don't really know how to give it to you physically. But we're very pleased to show it. It has been a very long journey to make it and to make the project that we have been building on for the last 5 years working on this project. The book conveys the findings of the complex modeling research project, which started in 2014 and ended in 2019. The project's very collaborative. First of all, it is run by myself, Martin, Paul, and Phil. This is a font mistake, sorry. I didn't notice that, but it's on the book, don't worry. And also the great team of collaborators, both national and international, both sector present, but also interdisciplinary collaborators that have been working on the project with us. Today we have invited our friends and colleagues, Philip Beasley and David Stasiuk, to speak with us about the project. They have two very different perspectives. Philip is our colleague and mentor, and also as director of Riverside Press, the publisher of the book. And David is a PhD within the project who finished a couple of years ago when he returned to the US, where he co-directed Proven Ground, which is a information modeling practice, and has recently transferred into a new position at Nike. So I hope this sort of gives a sort of broader spectra of perspectives of what this new practice is about. But I wanted to just share a little bit about the book and what the project's, the overarching project's ambitions were. So the project investigates the future of the architectural model in the age of advanced computation by questioning the tools for integrating information across the expanded digital design chain. The project examines the infrastructures that underlie computational design. I think many of us are presented with a computational model as a fait accompli, as something that is already there. We can just go download the Revit program and there we have the digital model. But what we are asking is, what is the future of this model? What do we actually need to model, and what does it mean to represent within the digital, and how do we communicate to material paradigms through a digital representation? So a key focus in our project is on material performance as a particular challenge to architectural design. The ability to design across, I'll come back to that. The ability to design across for and with material performance is understood as a core resource for design innovation, which is tightly linked to the idea of material optimization. So if we can design smarter, we can reduce our material footprint. By understanding materials not as static, but instead as imbued by behaviors and performances, we're able to work in new ways. The project's theoretical position lies with the idea that by formalizing the properties and behaviors of materials and devising means of representing them, we can access their underlying compositional logics and gain agency in their steering. So if I can represent a material, then I can also understand its structural performance, and I can also steer its structural performance. The insight in complex modeling is that different scales of address are connected that in concurrent ways. So if we have before lived in a paradigm where detailing was a practice of refinement, moving from the overarching and down in detail till we at the end meet the material, then what we are saying in this project is that actually material performance and the designing for detailing should happen at the same time as we design the overarching structure. By introducing 3 scales of engagement, the structure, the element, and the material, complex modeling develops the underlying modeling infrastructures that such a design space can engage. The format of the book, I'll just return to these slides before, lies around 5 chapters. And in these 5 chapters, we really trying to expand upon the how-to. So during the project, we've had many, many different kinds of publications in many different venues. This is not the scientific publication. It has happened in another place. Instead, it is really the idea of understanding a little bit like a portfolio or a project presentation at a student level, to be able to discuss the actual making, the actual reflections, the actual technologies, the actual models that such a project is made of. So the perspective reveals the complex network of processes that merge design agency with design analysis, simulation with prediction, parametrization with open topological modeling, and the practices of physical prototyping, fabrication testing, and troubleshooting that form the projects. The book is structured around 5 chapters, which are also the key contributions of the overarching project. They examine adaptive fabrication, integrated analysis, multi-scale modeling, information-rich design, and topological modeling. The chapters recount the research and development of 7 demonstrator projects which were done underway in the project, with a series of speculative probes and prototypes that expand upon the research inquiry and test new methods. In this way, the 5 central contributions are expressed both through their conceptual framing, but also through the practical methodologies. And you can see here some of the projects that were designed as part of the project, working through research in a research by design methodology. In the book, we also bookend these discussions of project descriptions with theoretical discussions and the presentation of a series of design speculations, the making of very small research probes that tease out new questions and probe the territories of inquiry. As some of you know, we are now moving these ideas into a bio-based material paradigm. Complex modeling is helping us understand how information modeling, the simulation of material behavior, the merging of predictive and mechanistic models, the integration of sense data in building up predictions, the concept of the model as something that is trained and learns its relationship to what it represents. All of these ideas are important infrastructures for our new endeavor. In our new work, what we're interested in understanding is how bio-based materials that arise from the biosphere, can be combined with this sort of underlying material optimization paradigm to be able to point at new material practices, very much in link with what Claudia was showing before. As a sort of conclusion, I want to also, it's a bit odd to thank people who are not here, but it's also really odd to not thank people or to talk about the breadth of people that have been part of a project like this. So we would like to thank our project partners, Christoph Gengnagel and Mark Pauli. Christoph is professor of engineering at UDK in Berlin. Mark Pauli is head of applied geometry in computer graphics at EPFL in Switzerland. And this also witnesses the sort of inherent broad interdisciplinary scope of the project. We also want to thank our partners on the project, Billy Faircloth and Ryan Welsh of Kieran Timberlake, which is an important, large architectural office in the US. Also showcasing that research is not only something that happens in academia, but also something that happens in practice, and that these dialogues are absolutely fundamental for research. And then the many research collaborators who have contributed to the project and taken part in the project along the years. And here we have had research students join us from Danica Pistekova, Cecilie Søsbrandt Olsen, Sebastian Risi, Jordan Kiosev, and many more. It seems a bit odd to mean them here. There are also many industry partners that have been part of the project that we are really thankful for all their contributions. And finally, we also want to thank the actual funding of the project. The project was funded through the Danish Council of Independent Research, which is the DFF, and has also been contributed to by the Willum Kane Rasmussen guest professorship program, who funded guest professorships with Christoph Gengnagel and Billy Faircloth. We also want to thank Natalia and the Danish Arts Council for supporting or developing the frame for making Iseropia, the project we did inside of the project, and also to KADK itself for contributing to the funding of the actual book publication.